August Schell Brewing Company is an historic New Ulm brewery specializing in clean, German-style lagers. Sixth-generation owner and assistant brewmaster Jay Smarty crafted a line of Berliner Weiss-style beers using inspiration and equipment from Schell's past to take his family's brewery in bold new directions.
Great music lives here. We are committed to amplifying Minnesota music to keep it independent and influential. Get closer to Minnesota music with The Local Show and The Duluth Local Show, Sunday nights on The Current.
Coming from Schell's and having that German influence, and us also being an older brewery, people want what's new, and there's a lot of hype in craft beer, and it's great and it's exciting. Why can't we do something that's new and innovative and exciting? I really wanted to meld part of our history and do something new and innovative at the same time. The Starkeller was definitely a passion project. I was big into homebrewing. Rodenbach Grand Cru was the beer that got me into sours, and I was hooked from there. As I started brewing a lot of it and then just researching and learning more about it, I came across Berliner Weiss, and it was a German style of sour beer, but there was this Berliner Weiss style that I was reading about that was pretty unknown, and it was intriguing to me. And so I started homebrewing it, and I always thought, in the bigger context with Schell's, us being kind of a German lager-focused brewery, that it would fit really well if we could ever do that.
The family's reaction was everybody thought he was nuts. Putting a facility like this at the breweries, any sane brewer would tell you that's a terrible idea.
Sour beers, they weren't near what they are now, So it was like I'd bring in sour beers whenever I could. Anytime I'd travel, I'd bring back sour beers and just sampling with people, trying to get them to see what the potential was. And so it was a lot of convincing and for people to, my parents especially, to take a leap of faith on it. Going back to my early homebrewing sour days, is I researching how Rodenbach made their beers in the big wooden tanks. I'm like, well, we have tanks just like that. And it was kind of putting the pieces together of what if we restored these tanks, and what if we made Berliner Weiss, and what if we used them in there to make this historical examples. The wooden tanks that you see here at the Starkeller is a piece of our history at Schell's. These were installed in 1936, shortly after Prohibition. They are 140 barrel cypress wood lagering tanks. We used these continuously for almost 60 years. We used them up until 1991. All the beers were rooted in some sort of Berliner Weiss history, or at least taking that style and seeing where you could push it. And so that's where I wanted to self-limit ourselves to this one style and see what we could do within that style. And I thought that would appeal to customers looking for something that was very focused and unique with each new beer that we came out.
As people kind of started to dig into it and see how the creative magic that was there, I think people started to see that, hey, there's really something here that is really kind of profound. And
beers that I was kind of particularly proud of was, we did one that was Flanders Red malt bill brewed with the Berliner Weiss production methods. And so it was kind of an interesting hybrid of the two styles, where you had kind of that clean lactic note that you get with Berliner Weisses, and then we kind of pushed a little bit of acetic, just a little bit of note in that one, but having that kind of that tart pie cherry note that you get from a Flanders Red malt bill. And we also did a black Berliner Weiss, which almost kind of ends up being like a sour porter, and that worked really well as well. In the Dabbler in a Box, Season 7, we have our Starkeller Peach. When we started, we were in 750 milliliter cork and cage. We've gone down to 375 capped bottles. They are still bottle conditioned, but just a smaller format size. For people that haven't had our beers, I think this is a really good introduction. The base is a little different than the original one. This one aged for 2 years, and it had a malt bill that was primarily wheat-based, but had some oats in it as well to help kind of accentuate that creamy mouthfeel. We used Brettanomyces clausenii, which tends to give a lot of more tropical notes, a lot of pineapple, especially as it ages longer, it really comes out in there. And so I think that the pineapple notes that you get from the Brettanomyces combined with peaches and a little bit of apricots, you really get this really nice, tropical fruit salad aroma bouquet.
so when you take your first sip, what really hits you right up front is that kind of nice, super, super tart flavor from the peach. It kind of smooths off, blends off. Fades, but just kind of that remaining acidity. But again, super nice and dry and tart, crisp, kind of leaves you want to take another drink. We've got a brand new visitor center coming in online here, so we're kind of redoing and revamping what we've got going on at the brewery. We took our gift shop, we've moved it across into the old museum side. We're completely giving our museum an entire facelift, setting up a new beer hall, redoing our tour and things like that. Bike trail down below in the woods. I mean, again, COVID has kind of given us time to take a look at what we've been doing and take stock of it all, and we're pretty excited about that. We're hoping that opens up here in May.
Thanks for learning a little bit more about the Starkeller. I hope to see you down at the Starkeller sometime and enjoy the Starkeller Beach. Cheers.
Prost.